I'm going to show you how to modify layout for Bootstrap 4. So what you're going to want to do is go into the NuGet package manager, go into updates. I've already done this, but you're going to want to select Bootstrap and do the update for 4.4.1. And while it does the update, it's going to remove the existing Bootstrap code, going to add the new code, okay? And then when it's done, okay, you'll see that you only have 2 updates left for jQuery and JSON. So I'm going to close out of here. And then what we're going to do is modify the code for navigation. The problem is that there's quite a few different classes for the nav bar in Bootstrap 4 that are not a part of Bootstrap 3. So that's probably the major area that's not compatible between the 2 versions. So to show you what this looks like before we fix it, I'm going to run it. And you can see immediately that our navigation bar is broken. So let's close out of here. The part that we need to fix is between the opening body and this division class equal container body content. So it's basically this code right here. And the easiest way to do this is just to delete this and then add in the correct code. And I have provided that for you in the lecture notes. So I'm just going to copy and paste. And you can see I added the semantic tags because that technically is correct. And so we've got navigation. So we're still using navbar, but to get it to go horizontal, we're using navbar expand, and SM is for small. Then we've got the coloring, the dark background, and we want the navigation bar to also be dark. For the brand, navbar-brand, you can see we added it a little bit different than it was added before. The button, this is where we're getting that hamburger button when we reduce the size to mobile. So the styling on this has changed quite a bit. Okay, so this is how you have to set that up for Bootstrap 4. Then we've got our menu items, and what the main difference on these menu items is that now we have our unordered list, which is still navbar nav, but then we get into these lines, which would normally be bullets, and we had to add classes to those, and before we did not. Okay, so that is also different. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now I'm going to, I think the other one is, no, it's not running. Let me run it. And there's still a couple things that we have to tweak with styling. Okay, so you can see that now we actually have something that looks like the navigation bar that we want. And if we get into the mobile size, we get the little hamburger with the navigation. We have this annoying white space at the top that we need to get rid of. And the reason that we have it is because a site.css puts padding on the top of the body. Now you would think that if we just change that to 0, here that would fix it, but it does not. What we end up having to do is add an internal style sheet. And so I have provided some code for that as well. And that needs to go right above the closing head. And so I am going to copy that style sheet code and paste it right in here. So first thing I'm overriding is the padding top setting. I'm setting it to 0. That will get rid of the white gap at the top. And then I'm also adjusting some of the link coloring, and I'm adding a little animation on the hover. Okay, so I changed the color, I put a little text shadow in, which you may or may not like. And then to get it to animate, I added a little transition. I got rid of the underlining because I don't like to see that in a navigation menu. And I made the font size just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to save this. And let's reload. And let's make this wider so you can actually see it. Okay, so you can kind of see how that looks. And you can see that the annoying white space is gone. Once we have this set up for Bootstrap 4, what we're going to do next is add some items to our menu bar. So I'm just going to take this last menu item and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it 3 times. Okay, and then I'm going to change the action link so it goes to my new page. So the first thing you see is the text that displays on the menu. So this is employee index. The next thing is the action method, and we want index. And then we have the controller, which is employee. For our next one, we want to get to that new employee form. So we have new employee. This is the link text that'll display. The action method is new employee, and the controller is employee. And then finally, customer number. This is not going to be very useful, but we've got customer number, and then we've got customer number, the action method, and this is in the customer controller. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And it is always a good idea to test. So let me go out here and reload. So let's go to employee index. We'll go to new employee. That's got my form, and we have customer number. And if you remember, we needed to do the customer number up here on the URL. So it's basically just taking a blank. That's why I said it's not very useful. But it does give you some practice adding to your menu. Now, if you think that these are too close together, remember, you can style, with CSS, and you can add either a margin on the right-hand side or some padding. That'll give you space. I'm going to close out of here. And so at this point, we are pretty much done with this app. Our next step is going to be to get this into GitHub. And the next video is going to show you how to do that.